Hello. Welcome again. I wanted to talk about mind maps in the tarot. I've done a few other videos on it, but I thought maybe I can get a little bit more clearer on how it works. So I got some illustrations here that I think would show things pretty nicely. If you want to know about mind maps, what's nice about mind maps is you could find all sorts of information on it. Tony Buzan, B-U-Z-A-N, started the term mind map. And it works the way the mind works. And mind maps are illustrated. And you can find all sorts of information. YouTube's about Tony Buzan and mind maps, and you can see how it works like a tarot card reading. And a tarot card reading, I should say, works like a mind map. And I'm going to show that here. They're both the reasons for them is to spark the creative side of the mind by seeing an idea of something you're looking into as a map, which allows you to get more creative with it and see it more clearly than a list or other ways to put things down on paper. And they're very effective for finding new ideas. And I think you'll like them. So a mind map, I'm going to show a picture of one here. Okay, here's a mind map about essay writing. And you'll see there's numbers here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there's 5 categories. Categories are introduction to essay writing, 2 is summary, 3 is analysis, 4 is support, and 5 is conclusion. So those are 5 headings or branches, main branches of the mind map. And then from there, if we go look at the introduction, you'll see that there's finer branches stemming from the main branch. And summary, there's finer branches there. And 3, analysis, finer branches all the way through this. And then there's even some extra branches here that they added. So this is how a mind map works. And they're usually very visual, and there's a lot of clip art in them, and people just write their own things or draw their own little things in there. And they're basically keywords, like introduction, where there's a hook, there's a method, there's how, there's reasoning, questions, and intrigue on the introduction. These are, I think, keywords about a good introduction to a essay writing. And each one of these has that type of situation going on. That's a mind map. Main branches and finer branches coming from the main branches. Now, if you look at a card reading, here I have a 4-card spread. The beginning of a 4-card spread: what, why, how, and when. What, why, how, and when. Questions in the center, what we're looking into, just like a mind map. And these are 4 main branches to that. You don't ever see this on the table, but the reader knows I'm going to do a 4-card spread. And these 4 cards spread reading, the elements of those 4 positions are going to be what, why, how, and when. Now here we have the same spread, only now cards are laid into it. And so there's cards put in these positions, which gives the reader insight for finer details stemming from each branch. I have insight written here for these finer branches, just to show you whatever the insight would happen to be on the reading. That would be the reader verbally expressing the insight and verbally expressing the finer branches of the mind map. But if you were to illustrate the reading, each one of these insight branches would be a keyword, something that has to do with the card in the position it's laid with, creating a mind map. So the mind map and a card reading works just like a mind map, only it's visual. I mean, it's verbal instead of visual, but it's still using the same parts of the mind, and it's an effective way to find answers. So this is what we're doing. And it's good to know that. It's good to know that this is how a card reading works, like a mind map, because now you could only not study card readings or how to do card readings, but now you could look into mind maps and learn more about card reading because you see that it's exactly the same as a mind map. I talk about this I talk about it in Genius of the Tarot, chapter 6. That was my first book. That's when I first realized that there was these are creative thinking techniques. A tarot reading could be compared to a creative thinking technique. By the time I wrote Genius of the Tarot, I realized there was even more to it than that with conceptual blending. And I've gone into that too. Adding a random element to an element of a question and forcing parallels and useful information from the randomness to that position. And that's when I did Essential Tarot, Unlocking the Mystery, because a card reading works exactly like a conceptual blending technique, but it also works like a mind map. And you could actually create, if you wanted to do something like that, you could actually go to the dollar store and buy a poster board. They're like 20 by 24, 22, 28 inch, whatever they are. And I would suggest buying a white one that's uncoated on one side so you could use a pencil on it. And then I would do a card spread. And then whatever those cards were that were thrown into that spread, whatever the spread happens to be, I would draw out that spread on your poster board. I had to do one. I haven't done one, but it would be a good thing to have just to look on the wall and look at the spread. But whatever cards you selected, scan them into your system, your computer, and I would say print them out at half size. And then cut them out and spray mount them into the positions on your poster board. And then whatever you read, whatever you see there for those cards, you could actually draw little finer branches from that card, just like we did in the, you could actually draw finer branches out just like we did here with on this diagram. And you'd have a mind map. And there's no denying that's what it is. Now you put that on the wall and you look at it and you might see your reading a lot clearer than what you did by just talking about it and then trying to have somebody memorize what that was. I do know a couple readers. I know one in particular who actually does mind map the reading and sells it to the client. She doesn't do it as a large size like I'm talking about. She does it on an 8.5 by 11. But you could actually do it any way you wanted to. And you would find clients that would be very happy to buy it if you wanted to put the time into it. And try one on yourself. Do a reading for yourself and mind map it and create a mind map with it and put it on the wall and see what you think. So mind mapping is really, a card reading is a mind map, only it's not illustrated. The only thing visually seen on the table is the cards that are placed into the main branches of the mind map. And the finer branches of the mind map are verbally expressed to the client from the reader. So it's an advantage to know that that's what it is. And that's one of the reasons why it's so effective. It uses a part of the mind that that stimulates imagination and also stimulates intuition. And that's something we still don't know anything about, is intuition. But we know that if you do certain things, certain procedures, you could spark that intuition to come, which is why a lot of readings you'll have intuitive insight, because you're setting up your mind to work a certain way to receive intuitive insight. So a mind map, card reading and mind mapping, they're very close to the same thing. I talk about it in my first book, Genius of the Tarot. But you could just look on YouTube and look up mind mapping, and you'll find all sorts of valuable stuff about it. And you'll see how it compares with a tarot reading, or at least the procedure, the application is the same. Anyway, I thought I would bring that up. Keep throwing cards. We'll talk soon. Bye.